Now it's time to be dangerous. Now it's time to get risky. Now it's time to truly find out what you're made of and what you could achieve. Now it's time to truly find out how many lives you can impact. Now it's time to find out what you were destined to become.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Raw Minds. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Eric.
And we're your hosts.
Hell yeah.
Scene's looking a little different than the last episode.
Yeah, definitely, man. You're back at home, safe and sound.
I'm back at home. Traveled like fucking 5,000 kilometers within the last 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, we were fucking everywhere, all over the place here, man.
Fuck,
right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, man. The
trip,
couch is lonely without you over here, definitely, man.
Yeah, bud. Well, it's like I was saying to you on the phone earlier. Like, it's fucking weird, like, talking to you now, because I know all your places and stuff, which is trippy.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, it's I like it, man. I appreciate your help. You know, I had a great week with you. You know, we had some good times. We ate some good food and spent some good money, man. But we had a good time, man. So
fucking right, we did. Yeah, it was good.
You know,
now it's time to get you doing one out here.
Pardon me? Oh yeah, definitely want to come out there. You know, I just want to give it one more shout out to like all the people too that helped us, man. I just want to help them out one more time, you know. So we have On the Spot Mobile Repairs, man. Great guys, you know. They'll really help out.
Yeah.
Then we have, you know, Nate that hooked us up, you know.
From Long McQuaid,
right. So thank you again. And door-to-door tires, man. Those guys were great too, right? So thank you so much once again for all your guys' help.
Yeah, I met some cool people while I was out there too, man. And the cool thing is the people that we've got coming up on the show, I get to that we're interviewing. Like, I've already met them in person now.
Yeah.
You know? So, pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, man.
So we have a great episode today.
We do.
We have Gallagher. He's got his own podcast.
Yep.
Right, Gallagher's Grip.
Yeah,
I love it. He's all over TikTok. You guys should follow him. I'll get him to drop his socials, and you'll be able to find it below. But I think we should bring him out.
Bring him on out.
Let's do this. Whoa. It's hard to do it from over here. I gotta learn.
You're far away, bro.
Yeah. There he is, man.
How's What's going on, Daniel?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Good,
buddy. Man.
Good. Yeah. Appreciate you having me on.
Hell yeah, man!
Absolutely.
I love your content, man. You know, we reached out and we hit it off, man, and we are stoked to have you on and to tell your story, man. And you're on our buddies' podcast too, Dad Talks. That's awesome, man. I watched the episode there, so wicked episode. So shout out to them.
Those guys are great. Yeah. And I appreciate you put me in touch with them, and I'm happy to be here, happy to be on your show. I think you guys are fantastic. I do love the new backdrop too. It looks amazing.
Thank you.
For the record, I think it looks great.
It's my casting couch.
Yeah. But it's the problem is the couch is, anyways.
So first off, we'd love for you to plug your all your socials and stuff first, so we can.
Yeah, well, I mean, I started a podcast, Gallagher's Grip, and that shows about real life stuff, very similar to you guys. That's why I respect what you guys are doing and how you're doing it. Very similar platform. And I am on YouTube. I am on TikTok. We're on quite a bit. The Apple Podcast, the Spotify, etc. So, and I'll send that all to you. But I appreciate you letting me do that.
Yeah, man, definitely,
absolutely, man.
Yeah, kind of a lot of heartfelt messages there on the TikTok side. It's. I don't know. A lot of my friends are like, "Man, you're just really pumped up and really, too ramped up and excited." And I'm thinking, well, the topics we talk about are really affecting, men. They're really affecting human beings. And it's like you talk about divorce, you talk about, what guys go through when they go through a divorce, and you talk about so many different topics. Of course, I believe that we forgot about the man, period. But you talk about that stuff and get you worked up. It gets you worked up. So yeah, I bring up topics that, like you guys, nobody wants to talk about, and I bring them up and I talk about them, and I make sure that, I try to say what most people don't want to say, or I try to say things that people, want to say but don't say because I don't think it's correct or will get them in trouble or etc. So yeah, I don't care.
Hell yeah, man. Love
Beautiful
it.
attitude.
Fucking love it, man. Just raw shit, you know what I mean? It's just raw shit that needs to be heard, man.
Well,
Fucking right.
I'll tell you what, guys. I've had a couple people on lately that are really we're focused on divorce, and in particular, it's the whole word divorce and what a guy goes through when he gets divorced at a national level, at a state level. In my state where I live in Illinois, it's disastrous for the man. Not to continue to speak about divorce, but oh my God, some of these stories that these guys are telling me are utterly shocking. It's like, is that really true? Can that really happen? Did the courts really do that to you, knowing the facts are the complete opposite? I mean, I feel bad. I feel bad for the man. I feel bad for the man in this country. I do.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of horror stories, definitely. Oh, but it is turning around. I have to say, it is turning around. It was a struggle. Like when I was going through my courts, it was a definitely big struggle. But I do have to say it's turned around. I've known now 4 people that I know closely that have just gone through it, and one custody, and my buddy's just going through it right now.
Yeah,
and
he was there the other night, right?
Yeah, you met him, and it's looking really good for him. But I mean, he had his ducks in a row too, right? You got to be on top of that as well.
Well, I brought this up a couple days ago on a public platform. I think the reason why it's turning around, my opinion only, is because of these kinds of shows, because of social media, because so many people are speaking out saying, what in the hell is happening here? Men don't talk about these kinds of things. Hey, I had court today and the judge did not give me custody, and oh, by the way, I've got to pay X percentage and I can barely live now because I'm giving it all to her and them. Nobody talks about that. What guy really sits down, talks about that openly? I'm not talking about in a circle of friends. I'm just saying openly. It just doesn't happen. So I think the social media outlook, the social media platforms, I think it's exposing the reality, and I think it is changing.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's just it needs to happen because like a lot of men take their lives because of these situations where they lose everything in their life. A big majority of it. It's fucking hard, man. And then you're left there standing pretty much with your dick in your hand. Like, what do I do now?
I have a friend of mine who turned 60 years old, very successful man in the construction related industry, went through a divorce, lost 70% of everything, had to move out, is living with a friend in the basement of his friend's house to try to get his life back together because he had to start all over. To be able to buy a house, build a house, etc. And this is 60 years old. I mean, 60 years old, you're starting over. That's a hard deal. That's a hard pill to swallow, right? But it happens all the time. All the time.
I've done it about 5 times now in my life. You know what I mean? But it builds character anyways. You're resilient, be strong. Sometimes it's fucking hard, yeah. But you know what? There's better days ahead. It's just, it sucks at the moment, man, but there's always better days ahead. Definitely. It's hard though.
It's terrible. It's just terrible what you hear, man. Like in my world, right? We all have stories. Everybody's got a story. Some stories are worse than others by a long shot, but everybody's got a story. Certainly when you get up in age, up in age, I'm in my 40s, but you cannot not have a story. Okay, you go through life, and life is a tough animal, as we all know. It is. It's a tough animal.
Yeah. Well, me and Anthony felt a good portion of it this week when he came down. It was just nothing but a little bit of small little struggles. Like my tire popped on the side of the highway. I didn't have the lock nut. I couldn't, or the key for it. I don't know where the hell it was. Then they couldn't get it off because they couldn't find the right one. So then they had to try to torch it off, but it was seized. It was a nightmare. It was just a nightmare. But you know what? We got it done. We moved forward, and we had a good time while doing it, man. At least I had my brothers beside me. Also had Owen there, so it was good. It was good.
Did you ever have a day like that and you actually just said, screw it? and you chose to simply go home and spend the rest of the day at the house and start over the next day.
Yeah.
You ever have
Definitely,
We did
man.
that a few
That happened to
times.
me.
Yeah. What was that movie where Buddy gets fired or whatever? He's he's just trying to bring like a birthday present to his daughter. I think he was a mailman or something, and then Jack Nicholson's at the burger. No, it wasn't Jack Nicholson. I don't know. It's like a bad day or something like that.
Yeah.
He starts going on though a killing
Oh, are
spree.
you talking about anger management?
Is that
No.
no?
What? That wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger in that movie?
No. I forget what it is, but he goes like on like a little bit of a killing spree. He's just having a shit day. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Yeah, well,
we didn't end up like that. I was trying to my point.
Yeah.
You know, we made it fun.
yeah, well, that's half the battle right there, right?
Yeah. So I'd love to know a little bit more of your story, man, and to share it.
You know, I guess I'm the type of guy. I went to college in Nashville, and my dream was to become a country music singer. Okay, and I decided to move to Nashville. I was in Nashville for 7 years. Okay, and I was really involved in the Nashville scene. Had an incredible producer. I actually had 2 country singles released in the Nashville scene, and was on the road for several years, actually 7 years, and wanted to really give that a shot. I did give it a shot, and I loved every second of it. It was pretty amazing to be with those people and that clique. Eric, it's just, if you love country music, I just love country music, and I remember one time, believe it or not, true story, I was on Music Row, 2nd Avenue, and I was in my mom's car. She came down to visit me, right? And I was backing up out of the driveway of one of these houses that we were at, and I literally backed right into Taylor Swift. Okay, and just destroyed her car, literally, right? And so it's my mom and me, and very true story. My mom and me, and it's Taylor and her mother, and this is when Taylor she didn't release any music yet. This was very early on in her career, but that's the first and only time I met her. But oh my God, I'll just never forget that story. It happened. I said I was sorry, of course. My fault, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it just didn't go the way I wanted it to. Big picture, it was tough for me to, put my whole career in somebody else's hands who can truly just make a phone call and say, hey, you know what? We're done. Have a nice life. Yeah, that wasn't me and my personality, So
Yeah.
I came home. I moved home. I had my degree. I was going to get my college degree in business at that point, and I got it. Came back home and started a whole bunch of companies involved in all kinds of stuff, from staffing to healthcare staffing, healthcare agencies. Man, I even started an online recruitment company called myizo.com that was very tough, to really get going and off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got into construction, the lovely world of construction, and,
Yeah.
how could you not love construction? And really got into it. And, I opened up a construction company with a partner of mine. And that's kind of when things went, I climbed up the top of Mount Everest and I jumped down Mount Everest, but I didn't have a parachute on. That's kind of the analogy. And the reality is, oh my God, what an experience that was. It's a very large construction company doing construction in multiple states, but the truth is it grew too quick, right? It grew too quick. We were marketing it. We were doing great work, right? We were doing great work. Then we got this large client, of course, going for the bigger jobs, and we started this larger job. We have employees, you got payroll, you got taxes, you got everything that comes with a company, as you guys know. But he chose not to pay us, The guy actually chose not to pay us. So, here we are with all these employees, all this responsibility, and, this receivable that we were waiting for quite patiently never came. And it was quite a bit of money. It was quite a bit of money, and couldn't do it. couldn't operate, didn't have lines of credit back then, didn't have, a financial backup plan, so to speak, because we didn't like lines of credit, and the company went down, and it went down like a rock. And, in situations like that, you don't want that to happen as an owner or partner. You don't want anything like that to happen.
Definitely not.
You don't want your employees to get hurt. You don't want jobs to not get finished. You don't want that, because you do things because you love it, right? And that was this case,
Yeah.
But guys, it was such a dark 2-year fallout for me. It was indescribable. It was the nastiest, darkest black cloud that you could ever imagine being in. And I know a million people go through things a million times worse. I understand that. But for me, it was the worst 2 years of my life, because ultimately what happened.
Well, you can't compare that though, right? Like, everybody has their heart. Your heart, it could be someone's different heart. You know what I mean? So like, it's hard for you, man. And that was definitely, I can't imagine, man. That's your whole life, right? What feeds you, your kids, everything, man. Like, definitely life changing.
Oh, it was. It was. Because, you go from doing really well to true story, not even having $20 to your name, with a wife that, that's pregnant with your second child, right? You have a son that's around 4 years old, and I didn't have $20 to my name.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have 20. I woke up, every morning thinking, holy shit, what am I going to do here?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, guys, you want to know the biggest lesson I learned? The biggest lesson I learned, whether we like to admit it or not, is simple. No one cared. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. The company had a huge fallout. It was all over, right? It was a big, big deal, right? And I had to make it right. Right. So at the end of the day, I had to pay back a lot of these customers. But guess what? I did. I worked 2 years straight, 7 days a week, and busted my ass like you can't fathom, and did deals and worked to pay back these customers to make sure that they were taken care of. And I did it. And through that 2-year run, you go through so much depression. I mean, every day you wake up, the phone's ringing. People are at your door wanting money. People are screaming at you. Lawsuits are being filed. Nobody cares, right? You find yourself completely alone. You're completely alone, completely in the dark. Not to quote Al Pacino, but, you're in the dark, right? So I got super depressed, guys. I mean, super depressed. And, I don't know. It's hard to show depression. I don't think a lot of men show that they're depressed, And, I'm not proud to say this. It's embarrassing for me to say this, but I got so depressed that I drove to a train track in my local town, all cards on the table, walking down the train track every day, negative, hateful, spiteful, zero happiness, zero positivity, just surrounded and engulfed with negativity. And, you're working so hard and you don't know what way to go. You don't even know if the way you're going is the right way. All you need to know is that you have to make money, because I had to pay back a whole ton of people to make it right, which I did. But I was in such a dark spot that I'm walking down the train track, and I was going to throw myself in front of a train. I truly was going to throw myself in front of a train, because it was so hard for me. When you go, when you do 2 years, not a couple of days, not a couple of months, 2 years straight, terrible, right? Day in, day out, day in, day out. I mean, it sucked, right? So my depression was so bad that, I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. I went there and was walking down the train track, kept on walking. And then I sat down on a log, because thank God there wasn't a train. And I don't mean to be funny when I say that, but thank God. So I'm sitting down on this log, and I'm so upset. I'm so down, and I look down at the ground, and I see my son's eyes, and it's almost like he said, Dad, don't do this. Dad, we need you. Don't do this. This is a mistake. And I'm looking down on the gravel, and I'm seeing him, and I don't know what happened to me, but I got up, and then I got so angry. I got so pissed off that I would even allow myself to consider doing what I was going to do.
I'm glad you didn't.
Because of what other people were saying, other people were doing, other people were texting and saying about you, and at the end of the day, all these employees we had, all these people that were surrounded by the situation, none of them knew the truth. None of them knew. The biggest thing that they didn't do, and it was shocking to me, but nobody actually asked questions.
Mhm.
Nobody, and because they didn't care. But at the end of the day, nobody didn't. What the hell's going on? What happened? What's going on with you? What happened to the company? What happened, with the situation? Nobody sat down and just asked a simple question. Nobody. They all scoured. They all ran. They all believed hearsay, bull crap, But what they all didn't realize was we couldn't continue because we didn't get this huge receivable that would allow us to move to the next, step, the next level.
Yeah. Did you ever go to get it or go after the company for the cash?
Try to.
Yeah.
But you want to know something? In the world of legal, I had a lesson there at the highest level. You want to take somebody to battle, you'll solve it maybe for 5 years of your life, depending on who you go up against. I don't believe in the legal system, here. I think it's nothing, but it's ridiculous. But, you want to sue somebody, you want to pound your chest, no problem. What I learned is that when you want to sue somebody, go ahead. They'll kick it down the road for 5 years.
Yeah.
They'll kick it down the road for 5 years. I mean, that whole thing is a huge game. It's nothing but a game.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer to your question, Eric, is yes and then no.
No. Yeah.
When you don't have any money to fight, and that was me.
Yeah.
Because I needed my money to buy food.
Yeah. 100%. Same thing happened to me. So when I first started my company, I had a formwork company, and first job I did, I got fucked over. They didn't pay me. Luckily, I had enough banked. It wasn't a big company. It was the first job when I had a couple employees. But I had enough banked money to be able to pay them. I had like 3 months worth of, I kept in my bank account to pay them, just in case. And I was eating KD and fucking rice, man, for the longest time, dude. And I just had a baby. I mean, I was feeding my baby, but everything else, it was hard, man. So I feel you on that, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't fight them. Like I tried to put a lien on the building, but they paid, I don't know, you can pay some bullshit so they can't put liens on there. And that's what they did. So I couldn't put a lien, and it wasn't worth it going after them. And I was just going to lose. I didn't have the lawyers behind me like they did.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that's the decision that you ultimately have to make. Is it really worth it? In my case, we did have a cushion, but the reality is that, we kept going, but it ran out. Yeah. And the reality is, it's like, well, wait a minute, how much longer should we go here? And then all of a sudden you find that you're getting to a code red point in the bank account, and it's like, we just can't, this just ain't working. We can't do it. But it sucks. The world of law in business sucks. And it takes that experience. It takes an experience like that to really learn it at that level.
Yep, definitely. That's why I don't like contracting anymore, man, because you're just chasing paper all the time in the construction area. And they'll fight you over a buck, man. Sometimes it gets fucking brutal.
Well, the issue I see there is, the do-it-yourself channels and the educational channels about how something should be so meticulous, which, I agree. If you pay somebody to do a job, it needs to be professional. We get it, right? But, the constant callbacks because a piece of trim on the inside is not at a flawless 45, come on.
Yeah.
It's too much. You waste so much.
I hear you.
I find there's a huge misconception when it comes to owning a construction company too. And I was guilty of it before I owned my own company, right? You hear your boss talk about so many dollars a square foot. You go home, do the math on your calculator. It's like, oh, this is a $15,000 job and we got it done in a week. But that's all they hear, right? It's like, oh, you're making so much money. It's like, well, no, I got vehicles to pay for. I've got tools. I've got maintenance on the tools. I've got fasteners. I've got insurance, not only on the company, but on each employee and myself. Then I've got to pay for fuel, there's all these things, taxes, and people lose sight of all that because they go home and say, oh, I made $4 a square foot on a 10,000 square foot building. That's $40,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, when I had my own company, I would tell my guys all the time, like, listen, you guys think I make money on this? But what you guys take home is way more than I actually take home. Like my take home is fucking way less than what you guys do. You guys are the ones making money here. The only difference is my company pays for everything, where my take home for my groceries and stuff, like I don't get that shit. Like there's nothing left for me at the end of a build if it doesn't go my way.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of time it doesn't, but that's the risk that you take as the owner, right? There's no risk on the employees. They come in, they do their job, they go home, they get paid, right? There's no risk on them.
Yeah.
Unless you run into a situation where money gets fucking tight. And I was in a very similar situation as well. But we won't get into it. It's just people always hear like, oh, construction, you make so much money. You do, but you also have, even though you don't have like brick and mortar location, or maybe you do, and you may not have overhead, like a lot of overhead, but the taxes, the insurance, and all that shit adds up to more, in my opinion, than having that overhead.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more risk involved, man. It's fucking wild.
Plus, then you got to worry about if your employees are getting hurt.
Yeah.
You know, that's another
And
one.
what
You guys
happens
have
when they
OSHA,
fucking
right?
do? We have WSIB.
Over in here, we have WCB.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
so
that's why the workman's comp comes in. That's why the workman's comp
Yeah.
rate is so shockingly unfair and high through the roof for any business owner. I mean, I got a workman's comp audit next week. We got a workman's comp audit next week. God
Yeah.
knows what the hell they're going to actually find. And then what happens is that the audit comes, the audit goes, and you think you're okay, but guess what? Guess what? You go to your mailbox, you take out the mail, you open it up, and it's a massive, massive bill. And don't even get me started on the insurance companies. Don't even get me started on the workman's comp and the full audits of your books and records, the whole 9 yards. It's a con. It's a con. I'll say it openly. It's ridiculous, actually, the way that whole thing operates. It's terrible, guys. It's terrible. But you're right. A $15,000 job, the owner's probably taking home $1,000. And guess what?
Yeah.
Even if it's $2,000, guess what? Overhead. You're right. Anthony, gas, overhead, taxes, insurance, and the list just keeps on.
tools,
Everything. So
A big thing I see too is like, you got your workers and you buy all these tools for them. But a lot of times, like, they're not respecting the tools, man. They're dragging them around, dropping them, like, not giving a shit, man. And then they
Everything's
get
a
busted.
hammer when you don't have to pay for it yourself.
Exactly, right? That's, I see that happen all the time. And that fucking kills companies too, man, by spending all the money all the time on new tools. Fucking headache.
I had a lot of vans, right? We had a lot of those like tall Ford vans, where we put our tools in.
Yeah.
And I will never forget the day because I was, more in the office, pushing it forward. And I'll never forget the day when I came down and went into the shop and I opened up one of our vans. And this is brand new. This is a brand new deal here, right? And I opened it up, probably been on the road for, 4 months, destroyed. The interior was destroyed. Now, when I say destroyed, let me be clear. I mean, dents all over the those the back vans are not finished, right? So get them finished, whatever. But dents, cracks everywhere. I was flabbergasted. I couldn't believe my eyes. I didn't think it was mine.
Wow. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And then that probably cost you a pretty penny.
Yeah, and then I asked somebody who did it, and nobody knew, and everyone pled the fifth. And guess what? Bring it in. Yeah, there's $5,000 right there, $4,000 right there, whatever it ends up to be. What are you gonna do? File an insurance claim on your own employees?
Yeah.
It's tough. Being in business today is tougher now than I think it ever has been, ever. I mean, it's just it is, and it's amazing to me. I really wonder, do people really know how unbelievably hard it is to truly start a company, market a company, run a company, in the sake of a construction company in particular, market for the company, find a job, find the people to do the job, run the job. Let's not even talk about all the paperwork that goes behind doing that, whether it be subcontractor documentation, the insurance, the list goes on. It is so hard that, Anthony, it is almost worth just not doing it and getting a full-time job somewhere, going to work, putting in your hours, coming home, and guess what? Relaxing.
That's what I did. Yeah.
I had too much of that bullshit. And that's what I mean. Like, people just hear about the almighty dollar, right? They're like, oh, you made 15 grand this week. And that's all they hear. They don't understand the rest of it. And the other part of it too is like, even when I wasn't physically at work and I was at home, I wasn't at home because I'm worried about keeping my guys busy for the next month. And where am I going after this job? And how many houses do they have in here for me to work on? You know, like it's more than just being in the moment with that shit. You can't be. It's you're fucking months in advance. And like, I wasn't sleeping, and the amount of money I was spending at the chiropractor because I was the one doing the work, because I was the one who was always like, fuck it, I can do it better myself, so I'll just do it. So I didn't really teach my employees that much. I was bad for like micromanaging. But yeah, just mentally it was exhausting on top of the physical aspect of it too.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Small town, or small business ownership. Probably more cons than there are pros. Certainly in today's day and age. You think about, well, how are people really making money now? And like my son, who's now 11 years old, this kid can turn on a computer. He is an Apple, a genius. He's got the iPad, the iPhone, the whole 9 yards. I mean, even as early as today, he was actually called over to a friend's house to help them set up his Xbox. As funny as that sounds, they got a new setup, and he set it up in 5 minutes. I mean, I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, oh my God, this kid's amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My point is, like, this next generation coming up, I don't know if they're even going to be in the construction world.
No.
I don't know, man.
It's all
Well,
electronics now.
I think it's for, I can't remember the exact stat, but they've just put a stat out in Canada for every one guy that retires, or I think it's every 3 guys that retire, 1 guy is coming in. Like we're losing a lot more than we're gaining. So it's like, fuck, do I just stick it out in the construction industry so that it like booms again? Because I know it's going to happen. But at the same time, I have those skills. Those skills aren't fucking going anywhere.
Yeah, it's like riding a bike. And I think the boom's coming, and I think it's coming quick. And quite frankly, I think that actually I was reading an article last week that said in our world here, the 2 most profitable scenarios per this article is anybody in the HVAC and plumbing world. To become the next, big time, scenarios there, because it is going to come. I mean, look, I'm in Illinois here, right? I mean, God, before 2008, there were so many new homes, there were so many developments going up, there was so much activity. It was awesome. It was mind blowing, and it was the norm, right? Then of course 2008 came, everybody lost, half, if not more, or all of their stuff, and that was the Great Reset, right? And I haven't seen a real development. I'm talking, real development in my area in quite some time. As far as plain farmland being turned into 72 lots and single family homes going up. I haven't seen that in such a long time until this year. This year is the first year, we're in 2025, right? I mean, this year is the first year where I actually see real residential developments going up, and it's awesome. It's so great to see, I think it's going to come back swiftly, and I think it's going to be insane for, I do. I think it's going to be insane here for the next 10 years. When does it really turn on? I don't know. But it's nice to see it starting to slowly turn on.
Yeah.
It's fucking booming over here. They're putting up towers and places everywhere. I mean, the last site I was working on, it was 23-year project. And then there was another one that was a 26-year project.
I've never seen so many fucking cranes in my life till I came there.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, putting up towers everywhere, man. Like everywhere you look, there's construction.
Well, maybe I'll move by you.
Yeah, come over here.
It's gorgeous, dude. I recommend it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're surrounded by mountains. He was blown away. You can go skiing on the mountains and swimming in the ocean in the same day.
Yeah. That's living. Where I'm at, we're in April 6th. It's still 47 degrees outside. It's It's 47 degrees outside. I'm watching TV. I'm watching everybody golfing, the PGA Tour, and they're all down south having a nice time and T-shirts. It's like, a friend of mine lives in Vegas. He's like, why would anybody live in the Midwest? Vegas, you walk outside, it's the same weather all day, every day. You wake up, you know it's hot, you know what you're in for, you know what you have to wear. And by the way, it rains here about 6 days out of the year. That's nice.
Yeah. I mean, I was wearing shorts yesterday.
Yeah. So it was not warm when I got off the plane today. I'll fucking tell you that much.
It rained here today, like just in time when you left, man. You took the sunshine.
I think I saw it raining out the window of the plane as I was taking off.
Yeah.
Well, what was the temperature by you today, Eric?
For me,
16 degrees Celsius when I left.
Really?
Last night.
I think it was roughly around the same today too, like 16, 15.
And when I landed here, it was -1 degree Celsius. It's fucking cold.
Yeah. See, I am in the Fahrenheit world, so I'm trying to do the conversion in my head.
I'll do it right now.
There you go.
Like 50. What is that? What is that Fahrenheit?
So 0 when I landed today would have been 32.
Yeah.
It would have been 60.8 when I left.
Okay. Not bad.
Yeah.
So it's around I think it was the other day was like 72. I think it would be. I think we're at 22 or something.
10 below 0. So that's why I ask.
And our gas is fucking expensive here, man.
Fuck yeah.
How much is it a gallon?
It's a liter. What was it when you came here?
It was $1.92.
Yeah, a liter, and that's cheap for us.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Usually we're around that's cheap for us, man. Actually, I saw it at 160 something today.
I saw it at 118. Canada, DU.
It's pretty funny, man. But he's like, holy fuck, look at your gas, man.
So at $1.92 a liter, which is what it was when I landed in Vancouver, is $5.11 a gallon.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. What I think is even more crazy is I love it when I'm at a stoplight and I look at the gas station and they have their big sign on the corner, and I don't know. I'm sitting there for 4 minutes before the light turns green again, and I look at the actual price of the gas, and it constantly changes.
Yeah, it bounces back and forth.
Yeah, it's almost like somebody's sitting in front of a computer and saying, "How much you want to make this, today? How much you want to make this week?" I mean, it's unbelievable. It goes up 10 cents, then it'll drop 5. I'm thinking, who's doing that? Why is that happening? It's got to be on a national platform type deal coming out of a corporate USA or whatever. I mean, in our world, but I think that's crazy. I would love to be able to do that.
Well, and the reason our gas went low here, because they got rid of the carbon tax. So we had this horseshit tax that they fucking included. And when I left Ontario, it was like $1.50. So now that I'm back, it's like $1.18. So since Trudeau stepped down, they've scrapped the tax temporarily until we have an election. So they scrapped the tax, and now gas has gone down over 20 cents a liter. It's
not here.
Fucking ridiculous. Yes, it has, because it was $1.90 when I got there, and now it's around $1.75. That's
yeah,
15, 20
okay,
cents.
that makes sense, actually. Okay.
It always bothers me because, I always ask myself, why? Why? And I know it may sound ridiculous, but why? Why does gas have to be so high? What's changed from then until now? Why? Why does gas have to be so much money? Inflation, blah, blah, I get all. But why? I just don't get it. There's so many things that I hear about or even see. It's like, I know it's a free market. I get people set their pricing, but, take the auto industry, for example, which I read an article again last week where there are more defaults on auto loans. And I knew this was coming. Everyone knew this was coming. There are more defaults on auto loans than there ever has been in the history of the United States of America, in our world over here, right?
Yeah.
It's shocking. Like the average person's car payment, I don't know the statistics, so I'm going to give a range here, but $900, $600, $700, $800, $900. You buy some of these new pickup trucks, they're $1,000 a month. I mean, I don't care how much you make or don't make. That's a hell of a payment. That's a mortgage payment.
Man. Yeah, dude.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a mortgage. My question there is why? Why does that have to be? You know, I just don't get it. You know, even the used car market now, you know, I have a friend of mine looking for a used truck. Oh, there's a great truck right there. How much is it? $33,000. Sweet. How many miles does it have on it? 120,000 miles on a gas.
Yeah.
It's not a diesel. I'm like, you're going to pay that for a car that's 120,000 miles on it? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
but people can afford it. Yes, you have to do that.
here we have ICBC, which is our insurance company, and it's one fucking insurance company that owns it. So there's not different companies you can go to. You have to go to them. They own the monopoly of it, and they make the rules, and it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't anybody see the issue there? You know, I mean, I don't know. That's so bothersome to me. You know, doesn't anybody see like the real problem there? Because it's a huge problem. That's a huge
definitely.
problem. You know,
Yeah, that baffled me when I was out there. Because in Ontario, it like you have to go get your own insurance, and I can go wherever I want. So I shop around, get the cheapest rate. But in BC, you have to get it through them, and then you can add on extra insurance if you want it. But your base insurance has to be through the government.
Yeah,
which is fucking ridiculous.
So we have insurance shops, like separate little insurance shops, but you have to go to them, and they do insurance on behalf of ICBC.
Okay.
It's wild, man. Fucking wild, dude. And then they just gouge you for everything, you know? It's yeah.
I don't know how people are living today. I really don't know. Your average, you know, person, you know, with a single family income, a man goes to work every day, the wife stays home, whatever. I'm telling you guys, I mean, I've got, you know, a lot of friends, right? And they're struggling, you know, still they're struggling. I think it's going to turn around here, but I don't know how they do it.
It's hard, man. I'm one of those parents. I'm a full-time dad. I'm a single full-time dad. My daughter lives with me. Also trying to juggle her going to school at the same time as working, but then being able to get her to get picked up to bring her home. It's fucking hard, man.
Yeah. Well, I give you credit, Eric, because that is hard. And frankly, I don't know if I could. I mean, you do it because you have to, but I mean, I've got two children, right? And I give my wife a credit for doing that, because that would be a lot of added everything on your plate. I give you credit. I mean, how do you do that? I mean, she goes to school in the morning, and you got to rush to work and then come home, and then, you know, how do you do it?
Yeah, pretty much, man. I was getting help and stuff like that though from some friends. Just get a nanny in the morning. They would drop her off, and then I would just pick her up after work.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no other way, right?
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's even as simple as a mortgage. I talked to my brother because my brother owns his own home, and he's married. He's got a couple kids. And I said to him, I was like, what's your all-in, like, property tax, insurance, all that shit a month just on your house? And what he told me was more than my monthly income. So it's like, I just have to accept as a single parent, I'll never as a single income home, I'll never own my own home, because I would barely be able to afford it. And that's not including groceries, internet, any of that bullshit.
Gas.
So it's like, well, I guess I'm just going to fucking rent.
Yeah. Well, it adds up quick.
It is so expensive here in Vancouver for places. Like a small little, I showed Anthony a place. And was it like it'd probably be 1.7, 1.6, that small little.
It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's the property. It's insane. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's insane. For like a 1 bedroom, you're looking to pay about, I don't know, 1,800.
1-bedroom apartment for 1,800.
Yeah, 18 to 25.
Why? Is it just because at the moment it's scarce out there, or is it just the beauty? Is it what is it?
It's just people coming down here, buying places up, and just fucking up the market. Really. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's that too.
Greedy, man. Greedy.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is inflation too. Don't get me wrong, right? Property tax go up and all whatnot.
You know, My mom told me when she bought a house back when she was starting out, the last thing that she would look at was the property tax bill. That was the last thing that you would look at. And now it's the very first thing you look at, because she said,
Yeah.
you pay off a house over the course of time. Well, you still have the property tax bill. Your property tax at some of the properties around where I'm at, $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 a year. Guess what? That's a mortgage payment.
Yeah,
Yep.
man.
Yeah.
That's a mortgage
Yeah.
payment.
Yeah.
The property taxes are so out of control in my world over here. It's unbelievable. It just, what's going on? When is it going to change?
And and the thing is, like, no wonder people have mental health, man. The stress of like doing all these things. I mean, over here, daycares are like 12 to even up to like I would say from 500 all the way up to about $1,800. At one point, I was paying $1,200 for daycare because it was the only place, or not daycare, but before and after school. And it was the only place that was in my daughter's division, and I needed it. So it was like I was paying 2 rents almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. To watch your daughter for a couple hours a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just, I think about like the day-to-day struggles that, a man goes through. I think about life in general. I think about personally speaking, what I do when I go home. I wake up and I go to work and I work, and then I go home and do it all over again and stuff. And I get younger kids, and I get, you got to do what you got to do. But, sometimes I ask myself, I actually say to myself, I don't think we were put on this earth to do all of this craziness. And I'm not trying to get weird here, but I don't think a human being was put on this earth to work 1,000 hours a week and play in a game that essentially has been created by another human being. This is all created by human beings, right? Trying to play in this chess game or poker game or blackjack game just to stay in the game and work your butt off just to play in this system. And I mean, where's the life in that?
Yeah. Well, taxes was just made for taxes were supposed to be just temporary, man. But they ended up, they're still here.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to me anymore.
Yeah.
I told myself a while ago, like, I'm not here to live to work. Like, I'm here to work to live. I go do my job and I spend my time with my kids. I don't want to do overtime. Fuck all that shit. Go in, put in my hours. I'm okay with what I make. I'm not living in a fucking 6-bedroom mansion, but my kids are happy. I'm happy. That's all I need. But some people would really struggle in my situation because the society is like such a fucking consumer society. Like, buy this, fucking buy that. You need to have this, a new phone every 2 years, like all this bullshit. And it's just like, no, I don't really need that. Fuck, the only thing I spend money on is tattoos, really. And that's for me, and they can't take those away unless they start cutting all my skin off, and I don't think they'll do that, so I'm good.
You never know. Jeffrey Dahmer kind of shit.
Yeah.
Sons of Anarchy,
Yeah.
But Anthony, that is a epiphany that I went through, because it's like, well, you know what? I want to be the dad that's really with my kids all the time. I want to be the dad that's coaching baseball and soccer. I want to spend, that's a lot of time. I would rather do that than focus on making an extra $1 or $2 for what? For what? My kids are going to remember, I remember me coaching them for the rest of their lives. My dad coached me in baseball and other sports. I remember that. I really do. You can't forget that. The reality is that once they hit a certain age, they're gone. And I don't mean they're gone as if you never see them, but I got an 11-year-old son. I never see him. He's always at a friend's house. He's always with his friend, or he's on the computer playing this Fortnite deal or whatever. And they're all connected together on the earphones. And I'm thinking, that's your whole entire class? He goes, yeah, there's like 12 people playing. I can see how it is so addicting. When I grew up, I was playing Duck Hunter, man, with Nintendo.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Hey, I got something. Did you know if you plug another controller in, the other person can control the duck?
I didn't know.
I didn't know that.
I know. You can control the other. I just found this out. I watched a TikTok video about it. And it's like, if you plug it in, the other person with the controller can control the duck. So he can go like this while the other person's trying to shoot.
I didn't know that.
Nifty.
But what an awesome game back then.
Fucking right,
yeah.
it was with the dog that pops up.
That love the dog, and then
Yeah.
Let's see here. It was that. It was Zelda, and then of course when Mike Tyson came out,
Yeah.
those
Punch
secret
Out,
codes
yeah.
that you had.
Yeah.
Everybody was learning to play that.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
And
now,
Contra.
yeah,
Up, down, left, right, AB.
yeah.
Fuck, what was it? Something else. I don't forget it, but yeah. Put it in the comments if you remember.
Yeah. Those were awesome games. Now my son asked me for, what is it called?
I have one of those Oculus.
Yeah, I have one too.
Yeah, but here's the interesting point. I said, okay, well, let me look into it. Let me see it. Well, it's $700.
Yeah.
$599. And then once you get that, you got to pay for all the other, subscriptions that come along with
The
it.
games,
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's hard to say no as a father.
And then you get in the vest because there's the vest. So like if you get hit in the game in the chest, the vest will vibrate. They got the wrist things. It gets crazy, man. It's nonstop.
Well, the funny thing I say about that too is like I remember being a kid and our parents were like, "Don't sit too close to the TV," and now we're just like, "Fuck it, strap them to your face." Like,
but they are, and you could clearly see why it's so addicting with that. But now, you go to a restaurant, I don't care. You go to a fast food place, you go to a restaurant, everybody's on their iPhone. Everybody's glued to the iPhones. I'll tell you, walk through an airport, Anthony. How many people?
I was there today.
Everybody.
They're so just fucking ignorant to the world around them.
Yeah.
Like, I literally, when I was getting off the plane, I told Eric this earlier. I was trying to let the people who were beside me off because it was a man and a woman. They were older. So I said, "Oh, you guys go ahead." And then the fucking guy behind me was on his phone and he was trying to cut through. And I just got in front of him. I'm like, no, you can wait your fucking turn.
Yeah.
He just looks at me all stunned. It's like, fucking have some respect for people, man.
Yeah,
Like,
no kidding, man.
pick your fucking head up off the floor. Like,
yeah. My dad used to call it the heads down club because everybody's got their heads down looking at their phone. You ever watch those on YouTube where like you get all these people that are walking around with their phones not paying attention, one like falls in like a pond or whatever? Like just fucking idiots, man. Like pay attention.
I see the issue on the TikTok world, as you said earlier. Every time you swipe, and TikTok's great, but every time you swipe, it's somebody driving a Lamborghini, somebody driving a new Porsche, somebody saying they're in they just bought this house, or now since spring is here / summer is right around the corner. Well, we just bought this yacht, last week. We only paid $17.5 million for it. Have a great summer. That's a big issue. That's a big issue. And guess what? It only costs $1 million a season to run.
Yeah.
No big deal. It's $1 million. That's a problem. That's what's being ingrained in our kids' heads, and that's not easy to get out. It's not easy to get out of their heads, And then guess what? As a dad, your kids come up to you and say, "Hey, Dad, I want this, I want that. Susie's got this, Johnny's got that. Sarah's has this." And then as a father, when they ask you for that, whatever that is, it's tough.
Yeah, man. It's so hard saying no, and then they give you the eyes and like, please, And like, to be honest, I didn't have a lot of stuff like a good portion of my life growing up. Like my dad was a longshoreman, so when I was a kid, I was getting all this. But as soon as he was out of my life, my mom was living off of a disability, so it was rough growing up, So I want to give those things to my daughter, but like sometimes we're not in the situations where we can't, like you said, the $800 Oculus, like you just can't see because then you're just gonna have to buy this and buy that and buy that, and that's how they get you. It's a chase game. It's just like Anthony when we went to Granville Island there, and it was like we're the jungle gym for the kids, but then they put the toy store right in the fucking front of the entrance.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So then you got to walk your kid by there, and then they're just going to, like, I want in. And let's face it, half the shit they got in there is fucking junk right now anyways. It's just, I don't know.
By design, right?
100%.
Well, we got a store here called Cracker Barrel, and it's the same scenario, right? I don't know if you guys have ever been to a Cracker Barrel.
No.
No,
Well,
I've heard of it. I'm
all right.
familiar with
It's
it.
a, it's, it really is a great restaurant, right? You know, country food, big fireplace, that whole scene. But when you walk in, you just, you just walk by about 10,000 available products for sale, and you're not getting to the hostess to be seated until you walk past all those products, and guess what? After you're done paying, when you have your kids, right, you have to walk past
Back.
those 10,000 products again. Guess what? Well, I want a candy bar. I want gum.
Yeah.
Dad, I want this. I want that. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what it is. So you have to walk past it first. So now the kids realize it. Oh, it's there. So now they know what they were going to ask for as they come back, and they want it all, man. So like you said, by design.
Yeah. When do we actually get to relax, guys? When do we get to take a deep breath and relax?
Not a long time, buddy. It's so hard, man. It really is, because we got to be the provider. We got to be all this, and it's just it's the weight that it's on your shoulders all the time, that when you're carrying, especially as a father, you got all these huge responsibilities. It's hard. It's hard to relax. It's almost like you're living in fight or flight mode all the time.
Yeah. And that's no way to live.
No.
And I think I was probably in my mid 30s when I realized just that.
Mhm.
I really do. I didn't get married till I was 30. I had my son, and then okay, here we go. We've got a child now. Then your whole world changes again, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Changes, right? And I'm not saying it changes for the bad, but I've watched so many episodes of Paw Patrol. I've watched, I know every episode of, let's see, your Elmo. Oh, God,
Yeah.
the list goes on and on and on.
Caillou.
There was a point in time
Yeah.
in my life where all I do, I would come home with the kids, and I would watch cartoons,
Yeah.
Disney, everything. I don't even watch movies
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
I think I've seen Frozen
Mm-hmm.
I dressed up as Frozen because my daughter wanted me to be Elsa, man. So I went out, got the dress, put the wig on, man, and I walked fucking down the street as Elsa. I was singing, having a blast with her because she wanted me to be it.
Yeah, I would just love to see that.
I'll send you a picture.
If you could do that, I would
Yeah.
I would appreciate that.
It was awesome though. Like, people were giving me high fives. It was
Yeah.
good. And at the end of the day, it was for her. I wouldn't do that for nobody else in this world except for that little girl.
Yeah.
And she loved it. The big smile on her face just said it all, right? So that's
Isn't
it.
it amazing what you do for your kids?
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing?
Definitely.
I mean, this goes for a father and a mother. Isn't it amazing in general what you do for your child
Definitely.
and what
man.
you would do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's called.
I do want to say though, have you guys ever caught yourself like, there's like, for instance, Paw Patrol's on the TV and you're sitting there watching it with the kids. Then the kids get up and walk away, and an hour later you're still just sitting there watching it. It would happen to me all
Well, yeah,
the
you got to
fucking
see
time.
what fucking Ryder and the gang get into. Fucking right.
I've noticed that happens all the time, man. Before, when my daughter was younger.
Oh yeah.
Or you sit down and you find yourself alone for a moment. But guess what? You actually select that movie on purpose because shortly thereafter they're going to be in the same room.
Someone's coming in the room.
Yeah, definitely.
Kids are great. I know the guy goes through hell. We talk about mental health. We talk about things that a man goes through, and men go through so much. And, it's just, in my opinion, truly coming to light recently, again, because of social media. But men's mental health, they're starting to talk about it. They're starting to share their stories. That's why your guys' show is so great, because a lot of things you guys do reflect on is a true, major worldly problem. Eric, earlier you brought up the suicide rate. I don't know the exact statistics on the suicide rate, not to get dark here, but I know it's a huge number, right? And it's terrible because it shouldn't happen, and everybody's got a story, like we said earlier before, but some people can't take it. Some people, and they need somebody to talk to right then and there, or they're going to end it. And I feel so sad for those guys. I mean, look at my story. If it wasn't for those eyes and that rock, and that's true, it's every bit of true, I don't know what would have really have happened that day. And I'm happy to be here. But I think men have it really bad. I think they have it really, 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 really bad. That's what I believe.
Here's the thing, man, is like, you know, a woman, and I'm you can hate me all the fucking you want, honestly, if you're listening to this, but like a lot of the times women want a vulnerable man. And then when they're vulnerable, they'll be like, "What the hell, man? You're a pussy. You're not tough enough for me." You know, so you're a lot of the times is you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Well, and the only argument I would make towards that is like, we don't know how to help ourselves, and then women say they want a vulnerable man, and then we get vulnerable. We don't know what to fucking do with those emotions, and then they don't either.
Yeah.
You know, like we need professional help. We need like-minded individuals. You know, like therapy's fucking expensive. I know that. You guys know that. But if you can find yourself a network of people who you can relate to, it makes it a little bit easier. You know what I mean? For me, it was recovery. Addiction was a big fucking problem in my life.
Mhm.
And the only thing that gave me some semblance of sanity when I got out of that was talking to people who'd been through the same shit that I had. And they're like, yeah, like I get it. I know why you did those fucking dumb things, those crazy things, those insane things. And they're like, this is why I did what I did.
Yeah.
You know, so like it was easy to relate to somebody at that time.
Yeah.
Can
So if
I
you
just
can't
say
afford
happy 4
therapy-
years? Sorry to cut you off, but can I just say happy 4 years, man?
Oh yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was his 4 years when he was down here in Vancouver. So I just want to say
Yeah.
that, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's awesome, Anthony. Really.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it takes an unbelievable amount of, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Strength, you know, to make that decision and stick with it. You know,
Self-love too.
I used to smoke. You know, I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys smoke or not, but I love smoking cigarettes. You know, this is back when I was going to college, whatever the case is, and I quit. And I'll tell you something, it was one of the hardest things I ever had to do was quit smoking. And I understand cigarettes, I get it, but talk about terrible. But going through that and quitting that and staying 4 years, Anthony, that's that's amazing. Do you
Yeah.
ever find, Anthony, do you ever find yourself wanting to go there again? Or I mean, do you have is there something you follow, a guideline you follow to make sure you never go back there? Or do you think about going back there often?
So I'm in a 12-step program. So like I have a sponsor, I sponsor other men. So like I have like a system in place. And then I also attend meetings. So like I have a group of people, like-minded individuals, like I said. You know, the way I put it is to make that simple decision is too fucking expensive for me. You know, what I gave up, the price that I had to pay to give up that lifestyle that I was living is so small. Like literally all I have to do now, Daniel, is if someone calls me, I pick up the phone. And if I'm having a hard time, I call my sponsor. And then I go to meetings a few times a week. That's all I have to do. To get rid of the fucking dumpster fire that was my life before, if that's what I have to do, that's really not that big of a price to pay for me.
Yeah.
If I choose to make the decision to go the other way, I lose everything that I've worked so hard for over these last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in terms of like considering going back, the way I explain it is like, you know, I have thoughts. I call them like fleeting thoughts. And I'll tell you exactly what it is for me. Friday after work in the middle of summer, it's like, fuck, a Corona would be good. But the minute that pops in my head, it's right back out. You know, it's just like one of those, oh, I don't do that anymore. You know, like we went out for Erick's birthday on Friday and like everyone was drinking and stuff. And it's like, I can watch them have fun because they're actually having fun doing it. Whereas when I do it to get completely fucking annihilated, to not have to be in my own skin. You know, I don't operate on the premise of doing this to have fun. I'm doing this to just get fucking destroyed out of my mind. Drinking and drugs. I don't do drugs like a normal person. I don't smoke a joint on a Wednesday after work just to calm down. Like I'll smoke weed, I'll go pick up a 12-pack, and then I'm picking up an 8-ball of cocaine. That's how I roll. So it's like, for me to make that decision, I know where it leads because I tried to fucking make it different every time. And it always ended up in the same place. And similar to you, like it ended me in a fucking hospital on suicide watch because I didn't want to fucking do it anymore. And the only thing that gave me a solution and a semblance of peace was trusting other people, like-minded individuals who had been through something similar as I have.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean by the networking thing. Like, if you can't afford therapy, and I'll be honest with you, I think therapy and the right group of people are two different things that are equally as important to have in your life. I don't think you can thrive with just one.
Mm-hmm.
Some people may be able to, but surround yourself with like-minded individuals and get yourself into therapy. The like-minded individuals will give you the understanding that you're not alone in feeling the way that you're feeling, and that people can relate to you, and that you're not the only person to go through that. And therapy will help you understand what you're going through and give you some answers as to why you're going through it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion on it.
Yeah. Well, obviously it worked for you.
It worked for me.
Yeah. I mean, it worked for you. I wonder how many people it doesn't work for.
Mm-hmm.
You know
A
what I
lot.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Success rate for addiction recovery in the way that I do it is 10%. Not even, it's 8. I think it's 8%. So that
Wow.
shows you right there. Yeah.
Well, Anthony, I have a funny story here. Okay, I went to go see a psychiatrist, a couple of times just to have somebody to speak to. Okay, and I will never ever forget this scenario where I'm sitting on the couch in front of a complete stranger, and the session starts, right, and she starts asking me questions, and I start answering them like brutally honest, okay? And I will never, they're trained to keep a straight face. They're trained to stay calm and what's that movie? Analyze This,
Yeah. Yeah.
This, I think this lady's face after I told her everything I was going through was something similar to this look. and I saw that and I'm thinking, I don't know if I should continue forward.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should say much anymore.
Yeah.
Because I saw her expression, and I don't know if that was good or bad or whatever. Needless to say, I only saw her a couple times, but it did help to speak out loud. It did help because your close circle, your moms, your dads, your wives, girlfriends. You don't really sit down and have those kind of conversations with them. You just don't.
Yeah.
So you have it with a complete and total stranger, and that's supposed to make sense, I guess.
Well, it's because they don't know you, right? So like, there's no real tie to you, so you can kind of just unload. That's why people just feel comfortable to do that.
Yeah, and that's what my sponsor is for me. He's an unbiased perspective on my life who has similar experiences as I do. And then my therapist is a medical professional who understands behaviors and emotions and traumas. My sponsor is my right now guy. My therapist is my why am I the way I am today based on everything that happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I like how you line that up. You know what I mean? He's like, this is my right now guy, and like, I like that.
Yeah,
very well.
He doesn't give a fuck, dude. Like, he always has, and I'm the same with the guys that I work with. Like, I always have their best interest in mind. But when it comes to addiction, like I tell these guys, like, this isn't a fucking joke.
No.
Like, you're gonna die. So I would rather sleep at night knowing that I said something that really fucking upsets you in hopes that you change, rather than try to fucking rub your back and tell you it's going to be okay, watch you go back out, relapse, and fucking die. And then being like, shit, I wish I would have said this differently. So it's like, I give a fuck, but I don't give a fuck in the way that it comes across. Because that's how you need to hear it.
Yeah, it's true.
No, you got to be hardcore. I mean, something like that, you have to be hardcore to them. Otherwise, look, I've got a father who's had more surgeries than any human being I've ever met in the face of this planet. And the reality is the man loves his cigarettes. He used to drink, quite a bit. And he is 74 years old and he is a diabetic. He has already had one toe removed and he still continues to smoke like a chimney. He was just recently in 6 weeks of rehab. Okay, I'm sorry, physical therapy. Excuse me. It was 6 weeks of physical therapy to get antibiotics in him so they don't have to cut off another toe because of diabetes, right? Well, guess what? The second he gets home, the second I bring him home, the first thing he did was light a cigarette. Now, how much can you really care about a situation if that, he doesn't want to help himself. I scream at him. I yell at him. I say, Dad, you know what? If you continue to do this, then you're probably going to die much sooner than you think. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Came home, lit a cigarette, no problem. God only knows how many packs he smokes a day. You know what I mean? It's like my point, Anthony, is that I've screamed at him a million times. I've yelled at him. I have been so aggressive with him. And this last time where he had to go into the physical therapy clinic for 6 weeks, which is not easy. You know, I had to scream at him and threaten him as much as I ever had to in my life to get him to wake up and realize.
Yep. It's hard, man.
It's the old ways too, though.
My dad last summer went into the hospital with his aortic valve 99% blocked. Had to get a new valve put in, had open heart surgery. The minute the surgery was done, the doctor came in the room and said, listen, you've got a new valve, but if you continue to smoke and drink, I'm going to see you a lot sooner if you make it 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
What did he do when he got home?
Mm-hmm.
He's living like he was never in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, he feels fucking a million times better than he did before. But it's just like, we know where this leads. You know, and my dad's one of those guys where it's like the minute he stops moving is when it's going to get really bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as long as he stays busy and just does what he does, it's whatever. But same thing. I had the conversation with him before I went in the hospital. I was like, listen, like, go in, do the surgery, listen to what they fucking say for 7 to 8 months. Take their fucking advice. Don't smoke, don't drink. And that 7 to 8 months of small sacrifice is going to give you another decade with your kids. You want to come out and continue doing what you're doing, that's fine, but you're not going to be around for your fucking grandkids. Mm-hmm. You're just not. And it's unfortunate, but you can't change people, man. You can't. You can love them as much as you want and think that you know what's best, but at the end of the day, it's up to them to make those decisions.
Yep. Completely.
Yeah, like we say, you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make him drink it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should give them the questions. Questions.
Why don't you ask them tonight?
Because I don't have them remembered.
Yeah, you do. Come on. You know the one.
Okay. So we ask now 2 questions to our guests. First it was 1, but now it's 2. Fuck, man. Put me on the spot like this? We didn't even talk about this? What the hell's this shit?
Come on, Eric.
No, I'm just playing. What is the definition of home to you? Is that right? Did I botched that? Is that?
No.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I got that answer. The definition of home to me is a place that you can actually enter and be surrounded by peace. The biggest word for a man.
Yeah.
Peace. And when he doesn't go home and see and feel peace and be in serenity now, so to speak, it's not peace, it's not home. I like to go home. I like to feel peace. I like to be in peace. I want to be around my kids and I want to be surrounded by love. That's the definition of home to me.
Love it.
Yeah.
And then the next one is, if you had one message to the world, what would it be?
The main message that I always portray is, with what I've been through personally, the most important thing that I think is never, ever quit. I could have quit a million times. I never quit. And I've been through hell. We have all been through our versions of hell on this show.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the guys that are talking with each other right now that never quit. And that is the gist of it all. Whether it be rehab, whether it be divorce, whether it be whatever the case may be, never quit and never allow somebody to make you quit.
I love it, man. I love it. I just want to say thank you.
Can
man.
I just say, you have a fucking radio voice, dude.
You do.
This whole episode, man. Yeah. Like, you have a fucking radio voice. Like, you're made for this shit.
Yeah, dude.
You know, I love it. I appreciate you saying that. I find that I love it, you know, and I very much appreciate you guys allowing me to be on your show, because you guys are awesome. Let's be honest. And
thanks, man.
You know, I just think, you know, the whole mental health thing, and the reason that, you know, what caught my attention with you guys, I wanted to be a part of that, because
you definitely are now.
Yeah.
You know. It's millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of men as we speak right here at 9:03 Central Standard Time that are having issues as we speak. And to get that word out and to get it out, it's a big deal. That's why your show is awesome.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
And that's what we're trying here. You know, and it's just raw, man. You know, what you see is what you get. There is no real editing. We just do a little bit at the front and at the end, and some vocal stuff, obviously, to just tune it up. But other than that, there's no, like, what you see is what you get. You know, we want to be authentic, you know, and show that, you know, this is the truth. This is what fucking everybody needs to see, man. Not gonna hide behind a screen and read a script. This is it, man.
Preloaded questions and bullshit like
Yeah.
that. We have 2, but they're pretty standard.
Well, it's non-biased, and it's non-biased, non-censored reality.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is. That's why I love it, because people's situations, scenarios, problems are all getting out there. And I'm not going to bring up any networks, blah, blah, blah. But you hear certain networks censor certain things, etc. And this doesn't allow that.
Yeah. Well, we're shadow banned right now on one of the things that's live right now, but we won't go there anyways. But you know what? It's because of the shit that we talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, well, God bless you guys, man. You guys are awesome.
So are you, man.
Likewise.
You know, so are you, and we'd love for you to come back too, man.
I think we need you to come back, because we started getting into your story and then we just got into some fucking genuine conversation. There's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like there's a whole second half to your story that we never even really got to touch on.
Yeah, maybe. I'd love to come back. It'd be
100%, man. You're part of the family, brother. Now, so
yeah. Well, that makes me happy.
yeah, and like I said, like you ever need anything, man, like for like the podcast stuff, you know, whatever I can help you with too, I'm here for you, man. So, and vice versa, right? We're all a team. It takes a village, you know, and we need to work with each other to spread the word and push out all this shit, right?
Yeah,
we're going up against the big guys.
Yeah, and that's the fun part.
Yeah,
for me, that's the fun part, because we're coming.
Yeah,
you know, we're coming.
Definitely. Well, I just want to say thank you again, man. It was great. I had a great time here. Really appreciate you, and your podcast too, right? So
yeah. Well, again, it's pleasure. You know, Erick Anthony, thanks for being so professional and kind and allowing me to tell my story.
Yeah,
man.
We love it.
Anytime.
Well, on that note, thank you again, and I'm good if you're good, brother.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
it was a great episode.
We'll see you.
Cool.
Right on.
We'll see everybody later. Take it easy. Thanks for listening. Bye. Awesome, brother.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure it could have went any better.
No, it was perfect.
No, that was a fucking good episode, man.
Really good episode.
Now that was as real as it gets.